Greetings, my tragedy lovers. My name is Flair Bliss, and we've returned back to our Wonderland and being chased by ravenous, Gidget-loving zombies. No sooner has this thought crossed my mind than we round another bend and the water appears. That blue one, Genzou shouts, pointing somewhere towards the left. But Gidget's fans are everywhere now, spilling out of alleyways, falling from windows to splat against the ground, all of them lurching and reaching, bones creaking, eyes oozing, saliva falling. We race to the edge and I see the little blue slope Genzou is referring to, its sail fluttering in the breeze. In! I don't even stop. I take a flying leap off the side of a pier and land against one of the boats' seats so hard I swear I lose consciousness for a half second. I think this is the best condition that we've been in so far landing on the boat. Both of the other times we were in critical state, especially Act 2. Genzou's right behind me, the boat sloshing in the water as he comes tumbling on board. Hand to my head, I push myself back up, wait until my double vision recedes and I can actually make out the pier and the bodies swarming our way. Then the same way the camera flashes had invaded my mind earlier, another image overtakes my mind and I shoot my gaze towards the rope keeping us tied to the dock. Genzou, the rope! I try to walk forward dizzy and wobbling, like one of those zombies that we're being chased by. I got it! Genzou latches onto it, yanking and clawing at it in jerking tugs that send shudders through the boat's frame. But I know it's no use. Nothing he does is going to get the rope undone. I reach behind me and find the scissors sticking out of my back pocket. I don't even remember putting them there, but something inside me must have known I'd need them. I whip them out and start towards the rope, snapping the blades down around the fibers. Cut, damn it, we don't have all day! But my finger muscles ache and shake and can't seem to find enough strength to apply the necessary force, even as I chop and twist, so you manage to impale Gidget with the scissors with ease, even throwing them, for that matter, with ease, but you can't cut the rope? Sheesh, that's my reaction actually. They're getting closer, almost to the water now, like a hungry wave spilling over the edge of a bucket. Yes, again. That's when Genzou's hands come down around mine, encasing them like baseball gloves and pressing. Come on, scissors. I wince as the handles of the scissors bite into my palms and fingers. Ooh, that is really painful. Especially if you get like a fingertip on that part. That is really painful. But the additional force seems to be working as first one fiber snaps, then another. And then with a whip-like lash, the blade chops through the last remaining snails, sending the ends of the rope flying. And the two of us careening backwards hard into the side of the boat. I feel a whoosh of air escape from my lungs upon impact, though I avoid the brunt of the hit thanks to Genzou's shoulder. What a legend he is. The boat rocks, bobs, then begins drifting away from the dock. I see those things gathering on the pier, reaching and moaning at us, but there's nothing else they can do. We're already too far away. This is a fiction where zombies cannot swim, otherwise they sink. Thank goodness to the Lord. I glance down. Genzou's arms are tight around me, and I can feel his face press into my back. I jerk away. Now that we're no longer running for our lives, the anger has rekindled itself in my belly. What's with the anger? Genzou helped us out. I could have handled that myself, I snap. Genzou blinks at me for a moment, then narrows his eyes. Whoa, sorry for trying to make sure we don't get killed. He nurses his shoulder with a wince, his face tired. Well, it bloody hurt. I bring my hands up, revealing the deep red grooves decorating my palms. Genzou's eyes widen with disbelief. Would you prefer to get your hands eaten off? What the actual hell is wrong with you, Eggs? Maybe I'm just sick and tired of you pushing your way in where you're not wanted. You ever thought of that? And then, because I've apparently lost all ability to stop myself at that point, and you're always touching me. Does, goodness sakes, so touching me get you off? Is that it? Genzou's pupils go pinprick size. I think it's more or less inadvertently through our current scenarios. His face turns red. Oh, that's goddamn it! He pounces, and we both go down. He lands a nice shiny right on my chin that makes my head spin, and I respond with a punch of my own right across his eye. His hands find my throat as mine find his hair, and we both go rolling. For goodness sakes, you both be working together, not fighting. Now that our common enemy is gone, we now find another enemy, ourselves. First he's on top, then me. He lands a knee right in my crotch and brings tears to my eyes, and I follow by wrenching his hair back so hard a solid handful comes off in my hands. This takes him out of commission long enough and I'm able to clamber back on top. Goodness sakes, man. And I reel my fists back, teeth clenched. Goodness sakes, Iggy. I am disappointed, man. But at the same time, this is character development. And I love character development, regardless of which way it goes. Fine. I like you, okay? Whoop. Well, that took Iggy by surprise. I stop, stare down at him. Oh, he's not looking at me. Instead, his gaze pointed guiltily towards the side and his eyes bustling with tears. I feel my fists unclench, and maybe I do like touching you. He winces. But I've never thought of or expected you would like me back. I just don't want to see you get hurt. He bites down on his lip, eyes tight. We just lie there, not saying anything. Genzou still refuses to look at me. I find that my fists fall. Why? Why does this always have to happen? Sorry, I just really buggered things up, didn't I? Genzou laughs, but I can hear the crackle of plivum in his throat. I sit back and rub at my face. My insides are twisting uncomfortably. Maybe in another time. Maybe if I had time to process everything, had time to work through my own feelings, I might have felt differently. But yeah, that was the previous timeline, thank you very much. That was when you weren't angry. But right now, everything's coming too fast. Too all at once. First Gidget, now Genzou. There's too much pressure. Even here in this boat, with a wide night sky stretching out above us, I can feel the walls closing in. I just want to be left alone. I crawl away towards the far end of the boat and wrap my arms around my knees. I need some time to myself. Okay? Yeah. Sure. I can hear Genzou's voice catch. Sorry, I hear Genzou's voice catch. I bury my face into my knees and close my eyes, shutting everything out. Damn. When Genzou was crying like that, I felt really bad for him. We float across the water all night. We don't talk. Eventually I curl up with my head on a pile of rigging, hugging my arms to my chest to ward off the chill. Genzou takes the opposite side of the boat, facing away from me and using his hat as a pillow. I spend who knows how many hours staring up at the stars, my insides dancing in a nauseating rhythm. All these people doing these things to me, but I never asked them to do. Wanting things from me I was never prepared to give. I bring a hand to my chest. The stain on my shirt has grown hard and crusty, and the pain has morphed into a raw ache that mimics the one in my gut. It's not even that I couldn't even see myself being with someone. That I don't crave touch sometimes. The woman's soft kind, just holding me. That closeness, but nothing sexy. But the thought of what comes with it terrifies me. They'll want things from me. Want things that I won't be able to give. At least not until I'm ready. But we do not know when that time of readiness is ready. If I'll ever even be ready. Gidget was already evidence enough. Genzou would inevitably want it too. I don't think so with Genzou. I closed my eyes, stomach burning with something that's not quite anger and not quite not. I reckon it's a mixture of emotions. Why do they have to put me in these kind of situations? I let out a breath I hadn't even realized I'd been holding, and my face has gone blue in the process from holding that breath. Then feel myself drift off to sleep. When I creak my bleary eyes open again to take in the sun on the horizon, all I see is a wide swath of blue as far as the eye can see. Genzou is already up, staring out across the water as cigarette smoke marbles above his head. He looks tired, and when he sees me awake, he tries to smile at first, then simply goes back to staring. I don't miss him lighting up another as soon as he finishes his first, nor the way his fingers shake around the paper. We take turns rowing using a set of boards we find lying at the bottom of the boat. I'm unsure if it does anything, but it at least feels more productive than sitting there twiddling our thumbs. We don't speak about what happened. That would make it too real. Instead, we sit mostly in silence, like if this is a library, rowing, resting, watching the sun rise overhead, then begin its slow descent back down. Sunset, the sky has just started to turn a soft shade of pink when Genzou makes a noise. He points in the direction we're floating. Spires, on the horizon, land. I smile in spite of myself. Thank goodness, godness sakes. We're both set to rowing now, anxious to be back on solid ground. The floating spires turn out to be attached to a castle. A large castle. Wait, didn't Gidget mention a castle? And that Orlam is in charge of everything? And as we row closer, it looms all the larger. Soaring walls, giant towers, twisting walkways, and glittering red peaks. Wait a minute, castles aren't meant to be glittering. This must be the castle Gidget had mentioned. Orlam's castle. Damn, it really is huge. Something about that towering presence makes me feel incredibly small. There's a scraping rumble beneath us, and the boat slows to a stop. We've hit land. There's no dock or pier here. Instead, the lake simply glides us against the bank, almost like some kind of grassy beach. We hop out of the boat into the ankle-deep water and drag it the rest of the way. Who knows when we may need it again. My feet squish inside my shoes. It's getting pretty dark now, and I'm not too keen on walking around this place at night. Oh, come on, you two, have some conversation. Oh, here we go then. We should get to the castle. Wait, you actually want to go to that place? Genzou blinks incredulously. Where else would we go? Gidget said Orlam lives there. Damn. I find myself waiting for Genzou to follow up with this with something smart, but he doesn't, instead letting it drift off into silence. Listen, Iggy, I think there is a bigger history between Genzou and Orlam that perhaps you may not want to hear about. Not when you're all together as a group of 5, but when it's just those two. Perhaps Orlam did something to Genzou, and that's probably why Genzou hates him so much in a way. So I lead us up the hill and in the direction of the buildings we saw earlier. If a protagonist of this game was Orlam, then I think we would have a much different perspective of Genzou. But because Genzou is 90% of the time a really jovial and kind individual towards Iggy, then probably my perspective of Genzou would be much different if the protagonist was Orlam instead of Iggy. It's not far. Already I can see what looks like fishing shacks just up a bend, and past that a cobblestone road leading into the town proper. The place looks deserted. We follow the road towards what seems to be the centre of town, more and more buildings lining out either side. But even here, the paths remain empty, and the windows of the buildings are dark. Maybe this is curfew. The only sound is the fountain, I was supposed to say foundation there, in the middle of the square, tinkling, tinkling, tinkling. I look left, right, searching down the neighbourhood streets. Beside me, Genzou has his hands shoved in his pockets and simply stands there, shuffling his feet. Fortunately, I can still make out the castle horizon, even against the darkening sky. I toss a finger towards it. I guess we just keep going that way? Works for me. And so we carry on, past the buildings, following the road out of town and up along the path leading towards the castle gates. I see what looks like twin guard posts come into view as we grow near. They sit on either side of the entrance to a bridge that connects to the other side of a moat and the castle gardens beyond. 2 rabbit guards with spears appear to be manning them. Genzou comes to a stop next to me. This suddenly seems like a really bad idea. Yeah, that logically is the correct answer, Genzou, by saying that this is a stupid idea and only somebody who is an absolute maniac that is angry right now would dare even think to just go across into... You didn't think a castle would have guards? I feel my brow arc. Yeah, sure, but not our friends, the homicidal rabbit friends. Or fiends, sorry. Genzou's hands splay out in an exasperated emphasis. Yep, friends and fiends only have one letter difference. My mind goes back to Gidget and what she'd said in the inn. I guess Orlam commands them? This is his castle, after all. And the fact that they tried to kill us earlier doesn't worry you at all? Genzou takes a step backwards. Well, in defense of Iggy, the rabbits were only curious about Iggy, but once he saw Genzou, that's when the rabbit was like, oh, I know you. I need you so that I can get a raise. So the primary target between the two is Genzou because Orlam has a bit of a hitman list for Genzou. Come on, Iggs, this is really starting to give me a bad feeling. The closer we get to this eyesore, the more I feel like I want to hurl. I'm not leaving until we see Orlam. I didn't come all this way and through all that. I gesture in the general direction of the lake, just to leave before we've even gotten any answers. And with that, I begin walking purposely towards the bridge and the rabbit guards. Genzou brings his hands to his hat, fingers curling in the fabric. Then he lets out a nervous whine, almost like some kind of confused puppy before jogging after me. The closer I get to the rabbits, the taller they seem. Until, once I'm standing right in front of them, they loom over me like skyscrapers. They look down at me with twin looks of bemused confusion. I open my mouth, close it. My earlier gumption seems to have disappeared completely, now suddenly reminded of my encounter with the woman in Orlam's apartment. Huh? What are you going on about? Genzou shuffles up next. Maybe I've forgotten actually about that bit of detail. There's so much to unpack in this game that 1 or 2 bits of information will go completely over my head. Genzou shuffles up next to me with a huff as I lift a hand to scratch at my cheek. Hello, we're, here to see Orlam? The rabbit stared at us a moment longer, before erupting with laughter. Gosh, did you hear that? They're here to see the king. Awful ballsy for a couple of pipsqueaks. The one on the left leans over almost patronizingly. You think you could just walk up here and get yourself an audience with the most powerful man in the land? The other one brings his hands to his hips. Yeah, you're lucky we don't arrest you right now for even suggesting it. Beat it, squirts. This makes my brows furrow. We're his friends. He knows us. I feel my fists start to clench in frustration. Oh, he knows you, does he? He knows everyone in this kingdom. He's the king after all. And you must think pretty highly of yourself to suggest His Royal Highness would even speak to a disgusting little thing like you, let alone want to fraternize. But one on the left emphasizes this with a sharp poke of the butt of a spear right in my stomach, and I lurch forward with an oomph. Yeah, look at this homely little rat. The other one grabs a hunk of my hair, jerking my head upwards painfully. What is this? A walking corpse? The slope in the breakfast troughs has more life than this. gosh. The first rabbit grabs Genzou by the collar and lifts him in the air. Goodness sakes, this is humiliating. And this one's been at the trough too long. Goodness sakes, that is an insult on both ends. One of them says they've not been in there long enough, and the other one says, well, this one's been in there for far too long, evidently. Both rabbits erupt in another fit of laughter. We're telling the truth! Just ask the overweening slime ball in there. The rabbit holding my hair gives it another yank that makes my eyes water and pulls me in close, clicking his tongue against his teeth. Iggy, now is your time to be angry, okay? Where's all that anger gone that you had earlier? And waste his time? Nah, the closest you'll get to His Majesty is on his plate. The other rabbit begins looking at Genzou up and down, his nose twitching. I was gonna suggest we toss them in the stools, but now I'm starting to think we'll keep them for ourselves. After all, there's no need to bother His Majesty with every upstart we have to deal with. Not a bad idea. What His Majesty doesn't know can't hurt him, and it's been a while since I've had a treat. He's so close now, his breath is fogging up my glasses. I can feel my heart picking up in my chest. And then the anger, here we go, the anger bubbling and frothing. I jerk forward, attempting to wrest myself free from Rabbit's grip, attempting to throw punches at the front of his slick white armor. You let us go right goddamn now, did you hear me, you big furry glogla? Oh damn, this one's feisty. Rabbit responds by lifting me clear off my feet via my hair. I let out an undignified squeak. The pain, it shoots straight down and through my scalp like a knife, sending tears to my eyes as my feet spin uselessly. He watches me for a second in my struggle. Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this one. Been way too long since I've gone to play. Iggy! I hear Genzou's voice shake. Rabbit holding him responds by giving him a fierce shake that sends his head rocking. Don't worry, you'll get plenty of attention too. I have always liked a little meat on my toys. What are we, dinner? Pleasure things? Goodness sakes, I throw another useless punch, another useless kick. My entire head feels like it's on fire and the tears are now dribbling freely down my cheeks. What's all the commotion at the gate? What's going on down there? A staticky voice suddenly bites through the air. The rabbits drop us instantly and jump to attention. Neither one of them moves, simply eyeing each other nervously. Finally, the one on the left hisses, "Answer it! Why do I have to be one to..." Are you even listening to me? I asked what's going on. The voice crackles to life again. It seems to be coming from the guard post on the right. The second rabbit cringes, then dashes off. He picks up what looks like a small receiver off the inside wall of the outpost. Nothing important, Your Majesty, just two nobodies trying to get into the castle. We've placed them under arrest and will take them to the stores immediately. There's a pause. Then, trying to get into the castle? Now that's a rare one. Who are they? The rabbit looks back at us lying on the ground. He raises a brow. There's a short, round one and a tall, sickly one, Your Majesty, sir. Another pause. Then, those are my guests. You to bring them inside immediately. If a rabbit could have gone white, he would have. Goodness sakes. Fur doesn't do that, unlike skin color. His face twists, and he turns to look at the other rabbit who looks similarly distressed. Of course, right away, Your Majesty. And you too. Come to my room once you've passed them over to my attendants. It seems we need to have a little chat. The line goes quiet, and the rabbit hangs the receiver back up with a nervous twitch. He walks back over towards us, face grim. We're to escort you inside. This way, please. Genzou pushed himself to his feet, dusting off his knees with a grunt. That's more like it. Then we fall in step behind them, eyes wide and searching as we led across the bridge and through the grounds to the castle beyond. Now, this is what we call some respect around these parts. Not being hurled up in the air just because we're shorter. Now, this is definitely a different scene of the castle. Maybe we're in a separate part of the castle we've never been in before, sorry. I get separated from Genzou at some point. One moment we're walking behind a set of attendants down a wide hall lined with stained glass windows and at least 20 luxuriously rich women waiting for their turn with Orlam. And the next, another attendant appears and leads Genzou away down a different corridor. All I can do is shoot him a look of confusion as my own attendants usher me further along the red carpet and towards an ornately marbled atrium. From there, I am seen to buy what seems to be the castle doctor, an older rabbit in a white coat and glasses. He cleans up a wound on my shoulder and stitches the hole closed in what couldn't be more than 15 minutes. His large, furry hands strangely nimble as they work the dark sketches in and out. I spend most of those minutes staring at the far wall so I don't have to see the needle poking at my skin. Once he's finished and I've got a wad of gauze med taped across my chest, I find myself being led around once again. Always through arcing hallways with ceilings that take my breath away and past giant paintings and sculptures ornate enough to make the artists back in our world blush. This is a wonderland after all, and what comes out of our imagination is 99.9999% of the time more picturesque and magnificent than what we can actually do on paper. I find myself a bit awestruck by the whole affair, and the attendants more than once have to clear their throats to get me moving when I stop to stare or ogle at something breathtaking. Before long, however, we make it to our next destination, which, as it turns out, is a bath. I'm guided into the most magnificent bathroom I've ever seen in my life. And that bathroom is just for guests. Think about Orlam's bath. It's huge and round and brilliantly gilded. An enormous mirror taking up the entire length of the ceiling. And at its center is a swimming pool-sized bathtub lined with bubbling jets and water-squirting fish. What? Oh, right. Okay, I see. The squirters are literal fish, but anyways, they're not living fish, but they're just decorators fish. Anyways, my attendant hands me a set of plush towels, bows, then leaves the room. I stand there a moment, unsure what to do. Clean yourself up, man! Then turn towards the bath. Holy sheesh. Holy damn. This is... I let out a breath and hear it whistle beneath my teeth. With a shake of my head, I finally snap myself out of it, then slip off my shoes and pad towards the edge. I kneel down and dip a finger in the water to test it. Hot, but not too hot. Just right. Mwah. And the smell is heavenly, like a warm hug marbling up through my nose and lungs, but not as warm of a hug as Genzou would provide. I shrug myself out of my clothes quickly after that, then slide in. The feel of the water on my skin is indescribable. In fact, at that moment, I wouldn't even hesitate to call it the most amazing thing I've ever felt in my life. I glide towards the middle of the bath, sinking down to my neck in the ambrosial fluid and let out a sigh that seems to last a million years. This is a life. My gaze goes towards the overhead mirror, and I cock my head in amusement. Not looking too shabby. I guess even the mirrors here make you feel like $1,000,000. No, the mirrors are not going to make you look like the Elephant Man, but you're still goddamn sexy nonetheless, even if you do look like the Elephant Man. The sound of a door opening jolts me from my gratuitous self-study, and I turn to see a rabbit attending leading in a man and a woman wearing nothing but bathrobes. My hand goes immediately between my legs and I take an awkward step back, nearly slipping beneath the water. His Majesty has prepared bathers to help you wash. You may choose whichever you prefer, or both if you wish. The attendant gestures towards the duo next to him. My brows must reach towards the roof. I look back and forth between the man and woman, neither one of them whom are looking at me. They're both gorgeous, though, clearly having been chosen for their looks. The man tall and chiseled, and the woman with a sizable bust and flowing hair reaching towards her waist. I suddenly realize what this is. It's a matter of what is more comfortable for you or what is the least uncomfortable for you. That's... My tongue seems stuck to the roof of my mouth. I really don't need any, bathers. I'm fine on my own. I scratch awkwardly at the back of my head. So there's 4 options here. Neither the man, or the woman, or both. The attendant looks confused. He turns from me to the 2 at his side, then back at me. Are you sure they will attend to your every need? I feel my face heating up. I don't have any, needs to be attended to. It's fine. Very well then. I shall let His Majesty know. He gives a swift set of claps with his hands to get the 2 bathers moving, then leads them back out the door. Once they're gone and I hear the click of the door, I let out the air I'd been unconsciously holding and sink down into the water. That was awkward. I blow out a stream of bubbles, watching them dance and pop on the water's surface. Fortunately, the rest of the bath goes by without interruption. I find a tray of soaps and shampoos next to one of the larger fish statues and use them to clean myself up, enjoying the tingly feeling on my scalp as I scrub my fingers through my hair. After a few laps pretending I'm a merman, I take a short 5-minute nap in one of the lounge chairs molded into the side of the then finally decide I've had enough and push myself up, so I back up and onto the tile, wrapping the towel around my midsection for privacy purposes. Almost as if on cue, a trio of rabbit attendants enter the room and quickly ushers me through a nearby door and into an ornate vanity room. I'm seated on a plush throne in front of a giant mirror, where I'm given the full pampering treatment. Powder, blow dry, curl. Hell, they even trim some of my split ends. Once this is finished, I'm guided towards a set of standing mirrors where another rabbit with a bundle of pins in his mouth is waiting with measuring tape. This is a much different treatment from the other 2 acts. He snaps the tape up and down my legs, across my arms, around my waist. All of it practiced and efficient and done in about 60 seconds. Getting your sizes. Then it's on the move again, this time into another room filled with pillows and cushions, blankets, even a few stuffed bears. Soft, relaxing music is playing from somewhere, and I sniff what smells like incense drifting out from a small glowing bulb. Until your suit is ready, my attendant says, as though this is somehow self-explanatory, before bowing and once again exiting the room. My suit? But he's already gone. So instead I wander towards the giant pile of cushions and fall down into it with a soft whoosh. This has now officially been the strangest experience of my life. Even stranger than walking on that gigantic ton. I stare up at the ceiling, then crawl up on my elbows and grab one of the bears. I read it as BS for some odd reason, holding it in my lap as I peruse the rest of the room. To the right, I spy fancy gold leaf trays filled with chocolates, fruits, and cakes, and to the left, buckets of ice with an assortment of wine, champagnes, and brandies. Don't mind if I do. As I pour myself some wine and lie back with a small plate full of cake balanced on my chest, my mind goes to Genzou. I wonder if he's been given the same royal treatment as me. Something tells me yes, but another part of me says no. Been a twinge of shame, admittedly. I'm glad they separated us. Not only because of how awkward things became between us, but also now that I know that, for some odd reason, my gaze falls to my towered legs, currently lying splayed out across the cushions. The growl of discomfort returns to my belly, and I instinctively bring my legs together. Yeah, that had been for the best. Not that I think Genzou would. But then again, Gidget, my mind goes back to her naked shoulders. Her naked, bring her hand to my face, rubbing at my eyes. The anger is twisting, calling my belly again. All this expectingness from others, from me. I take an extra large quaff of wine to quell it. 10 or so minutes later, my attendants return, one of them with a black suit draped across his arms. I presume this suit is brand new. Damn, that was quick. I chuckle in spite of myself. Then I'm led for a final time back to the mirrors where I'm fitted into pursuit like a glove. Seems crisp and snappy and ties smooth down my front. Damn. Oh gosh, it's really raining outside. I stare at myself in the mirror, twist to get a look at the back. I look good. With two gun poses alternating between up and down. Which is something I'm not sure I've ever thought about myself, to be honest. Just looking at myself gives me a weird sense of joy and pride. I smooth my hair back, put my hands on my hips, smile at myself in the mirror. My self-ogling session is cut short, however, when my tenant clears his throat. Shall we go then? Go? Go where? I turn away from the mirror. Why, to the ball, of course. It's already begun. The ball? What ball? But I'm not given an answer. Instead, my tenant takes me by the arm and leads me towards the door, clearly hoping to get me there quickly. All I can do is gulp as I watch the scenery pass by. A big cold stone growing in my gut. Parties. Why does it always have to be parties? Why am I always expected to do things that others want from me? I think Orlam is only looking out for you as his friend. Presenting Ignatius Walter Maxwell. Who? I instinctively shrink in on myself. Did they really need to say my whole name like that? Oh, okay. My cheeks feel about 100 degrees and already driblets of sweat are working down my freshly cleaned neck. And how the hell do they even know my full name anyways? The size of a ballroom doesn't help. It's absolutely enormous. And bright. So bloody bright. Every single inch of it gleams with gold and silver glittering 12-tier chandeliers hanging from the ceiling and litting music drifting from a string quartet in the corner. And the people. There's so many of them. All dressed to the nines with gorgeous dresses and dashing tuxedos. And upon my triumphant entrance, every single pair of eyes turned straight towards me, as if you turned up late to a university lecture, and you hear that door open, yourself and everyone else goes and stares straight at that single student who turned up late. That happened to me once. It was because of the... Anyways, I'm going off track here now. I really want to disappear inside the collar of my suit. Basically, the bus was running late. This is too much. Way too much. Already I can feel my chest grow tight. Fuzzy dots dancing across my eyes. Come on now. My attendant tugs me forward, but my legs feel like they're made of jelly and they refuse to move. I think I need a minute. My breath is coming out faster and faster. You are hyperventilating, my man. Goodness sakes, I'm going to pass... Yeah, proceeding until... My dear friend. The familiar voice makes my head pop up, and I see the crowd of people part, forming an aisle leading straight from the grand throne in the back of the room. And there, walking down the aisle, his hands outstretched in welcome. Oh, you are so grand there, Orlam. Is Orlam. My throat catches. He looks bloody rigid. Crisp white suit practically molded to his body, ornate crown framing his orange hair, and a fur-lined cape draped across his shoulders. Somehow the sight of him, of a familiar face, helps to calm my racing heart, and my breath finally begins to slow. He smiles and walks towards me, little cape fluttering behind him. Well, at least you're not having a crown in your casual clothes. It's been some time, hasn't it? I'm so glad you could join me here. He brings his hands to my shoulders, then raises a brow at my clear discomfort. A little overwhelming, yes? But you get used to it. Come. He holds out his elbow, and I latch onto it like a spooked field mouse. My gaze jumps back and forth between the throngs of fancy partygoers as he walks me back down the aisle. Everyone seems to be watching us, fanning themselves and talking in hushed whispers. My fingers dig deeper into Orlam's arm with every step. When we reach the middle of the ballroom, Orlam stops, turns towards me. You will have this dance with me, won't you? I do so love showing off my guests of honor. His arms go to my waist, and he pulls me in close with a possessive tug. The dance? I practically squash. I don't. But Orlam has already raised his hands to snap his fingers. And in the instant the string quartet begins, I waltz. Don't worry, I'll lead. Both here and in bed. His lips curl into an impish smile. Then he grabs my hands and dips me backwards. At this point, I'm not sure I could resist even if I tried. So with a flutter in my heart and a clumsy stutter in my step, I do my best to try and keep up as he pulls me back up and begins to dance. That smile of Orlam. That is a 10 out of 10 smile. I have zero idea what I'm doing, but Orlam has clearly had plenty of practice. The arm around my waist keeps me held in close and guides our movement as his hand squeezes mine with a beat of a rhythm. I'm sure my feet aren't doing anything close to what they're actually supposed to, but it seems enough to keep me with the sway and the turns and the litting to and fro from Orlam's hips. You're looking well. I trust my tenants took good care of you? That smile again. Almost as though he wants to eat me whole. Yeah, it was. They were fine. Everything was fine. I'm so focused on trying to find my words that I half trip over my feet. But Orlam just grins and pulls me back in, then sends me out for a spin that leaves me 20 times more discombobulated than before. Then tight again. Flush against his chest. Flush against his crotch. My face flushes and I jerk my head towards to see Orlam just looking at me, brows low. I noticed you didn't take me up on my offer in the bath. I did try to prepare both of them to your liking. Beads of sweat worked their ways down my forehead and temples. Then Orlam sweeps me back up and into the dance again, and I'm forced to take a second to refine my steps. He laughs. It's okay. I didn't actually expect you to. I was mostly more confirming things. He raises a brow, sly grin stretching across his face. You see, Iggy, I've noticed something. You and I are like two sides of the same coin. We are? I croaked somewhat unbecomingly. You hate being around people. I love being around people. Contrary. Another spin. You like to follow. I like to lead. And another, this one ending in a dip that nearly sends me to the floor. You don't want anyone. I want everyone. I like to be hot where you are cold. I am the king, and you are a lowly peasant. He pulls me back up with a jerk. That's nice. It's about all I can manage to say in the moment. With a flush on my face probably says otherwise. Orlam must get a kick out of this because his grin widens and he lets out a chuckle. You're a funny fella, Iggy. Am I? My brows arc. And then, because I feel the conversation going in an increasingly uncomfortable direction, I attempt to divert it with some small talk about our mutual friends. Oh, dearie me. Let's talk about... You know what? Let's divert this. Let's talk about Gidget. I heard you invited Gidget up here a few times. I mentally curse as soon as the words leave my mouth. Why would I bring her up after what happened? Now that she's dead. I can feel my heart start to pick up. Something Orlam must not miss. Something wrong? He raises a brow. I try to laugh off. Nothing. Just thinking. This seems to amuse him. But he thankfully returns the subject to my original comment. But yes, I did indeed. He sends me on a slow spin to the left. I would be remiss not to invite Wonderland's greatest beauty, yes. I suppose. She always made quite the impression on my other guests. You should have seen the assemble she'd wear. Quite décolleté. I blanch. Turn my gaze away. Despite my best efforts, mental images of Gidget in all her glory are bouncing up in my brain like... Why do you have to put the word bouncing into this context? Well, like their corresponding assets, I suppose. The thought makes me queasy. It's not like I can't appreciate them on a certain level. Nor are they the first pair I've seen, but up close like that, direct to me rather than some nameless identity on a computer screen. It's supposed to be every guy's dream, isn't it? Not every guy's dream. No. I don't think that's every guy's dream. I'd say it's subjective upon the individual. Picturing themselves with the woman on the screen, wishing she were real. Oh, for goodness sake, you're talking about waifus and anime individuals, aren't you? Or game individuals. And yet somehow, when she'd become real sitting there in front of me, all I felt was a cold sweat. So goddamn cold I couldn't stop shaking. That's not normal, is it? Speaking of her, are you? Orlam's thumb runs up the side of my hand. Nearly stumbling over Orlam's foot in the process. Not like that. He snickers. She certainly thought about you a lot. Yes, going on and on whenever she came up here. Oh, wouldn't it just be fabulous if Iggy were here? If only Iggy could see me in this dress. If only Iggy and I can dance like this. Oh, you two danced? This makes me raise an eyebrow. Oh, you two danced? Orlam laughs, so of course I dance with all my special guests. What about Genzou, man? Would you dance with him? Or maybe he's an exception. Whether it's the thought of them dancing, or the lascivious grin dancing on his face, my thoughts return to what Gidget had said about Orlam's advances. I feel a bead of sweat work its way down my temple. Steer the conversation back to his guest. Steer the conversation back to Gidget. Let's diverse our subjects. Better to steer the conversation away to something else entirely. You have a lot of guests, then? Oh, yes. The nobles here can't get enough when it comes to rubbing elbows with their fellow elites. Always trying to one-up each other, you see. Yes, we're all bloody rich enough to last for an entire lifetime when it comes to their wealth, comfortable enough for 10 lifetimes, if not more, in order to survive. Who can wear the grander assemble? But what is conclusive is that I, King Orlam, will always be the grandest. Who can put on the biggest show? Who can make it into the king's bed? He smirks at this one. My spit gets stuck in my throat. Of course, none of them hold a candle to a special guest like you. What have I done that is so special then? No, those are truly an occasion worthy of celebration. I see. I turn away with a cough. You know, I never did get a chance to thank you properly for what you did. His fingers give mine a little squeeze. I meant it when I said no one's ever done anything like that for me before. Showed me that kind of kindness. I mean, sure, that's what friends do, right? Yes, we are friends, aren't we? I'm not sure what he means by this, so I don't say anything. Instead, glancing down at my feet when I feel them start to twist again to keep from stumbling to the floor. I'm really glad you made it here. I admit I was hoping I'd be able to show you what I'd accomplish, to be able to repay the kindness you showed me. This is definitely quite the, setup you've got going here. It is, isn't it? Orlam bites down on his lip in what I can only imagine is barely restrained pride. You should have seen this place when I first arrived. Nothing but chaos, anarchy. It took quite a bit of incentive to bring the masses in line, but I've managed to build something out of nothing, to turn this place into a proper kingdom, with laws, a government. Wait, yeah, it's a government that is ruled by a monarchy. An ample food supply. It's certainly impressive, I say as I trip again, this time falling forward against Orlam's chest with an embarrassing flourish. Orlam pauses a moment to let me catch my breath, ever-present grin on his face as he watches me fumble. I refine my balance and pull back, face no doubt 50 shades of red. Indeed, he smirks, pulling me back into the rhythm. Yes, I'd say it's only missing one theme at this point. But what's that? Behind us, the music has started building into a crescendo, and Orlam takes his opportunity to give me one final spin before daping me to the floor in a grand spiraling flourish. Someone to rule it with me. Am I gonna be your queen then? The music reaches its peak, then ends on a wailing high vibrato before snapping into quivering silence. The ballroom goes absolutely quiet. So quiet, I worry the entire crowd can hear the giant gulp in my throat as I stare up into Orlam's leering face. Then the partygoers begin to clap. Orlam pulls me back up, one hand rising to accept his guests' applause in modest deference, as the other finds my hip and tugs me in against his side. Yes, thank you very much. Now please enjoy yourselves. Let the music and wine flow well into the night. And the blood. Next time I bring my hand to my face to hide my reddened cheeks wanting to disappear into my collar. What the hell have I got myself into? Exactly. What have you gotten yourself into? Where's Genzou in all this? Genzou's probably tied up somewheres. The rest of the ball continues in much the same manner. Getting shuffled around from circle to circle, shown off to partygoers, offered wine and champagne and some strange little meat fiends wrapped in what tastes like pickled radish. Orlam is completely in his element, making small talk, jokes, accepting and dishing out compliments, no matter how forced. I run out of energy to keep up with the conversations after a grand total of 2, but he's still running on full steam after the 20th. The way he can just make things up to say, embellish the innatest of anatomies, and smooshes even the most glamorous of beauties is impressive, to say the least. Every time the conversation turns to me, the most I can get out as a joke, hello. It feels like we're at it for hours, and in the middle of an exceptionally long yet animated talk with a buxom Lady Bobanish and her trio of fans, I managed to slip away and towards one of the far corners, grabbing another flute of champagne on the way and downing half of it in one gulp. Goodness sakes, man, steady on. My legs shake as I lean up against the wall and I can feel sweat clean to the back of my neck. I take one breath, 2, feel myself start to settle down as I watch the clusters of guests shuffle about. Some of them talking, some of them dancing, and all of them sneaking the occasional glance at the short little redhead bobbing in and out amongst the lace and frills. They certainly seem to like him, though I can't help but notice that there's not a plain one among the bunch. All of them, every single one of them, could easily pass for a model. It's almost as though they've been hand-selected through some kind of beauties-only casting call. Where are all the normal people? Like myself. Like me. Like me, I gulped down the rest of my champagne. Enjoying yourself? I let out an unbecoming eep and jerk backwards, nearly dropping my glass. Orlam's right next to me, hands on his hips. Don't worry. I know this isn't your thing. he smirks. Then loops an arm around my chest and brings a hand up to shield his mouth in an overly embarrassed whisper. Shall we find somewhere a little quieter? I feel my mouth go dry. But he doesn't wait for my response. Instead, lashing onto my arm and tugging me towards the door. Come, come, come. Yes, once back in the hallway, the quiet feels almost deafening. Orlam leads me gleefully past bowing guards and attendants towards the grand staircase in the main hall, practically dancing up the steps. Where are we going? I almost asked hesitantly. My room, of course. There's something I want to show you. No, I feel myself blanch. I don't see anything. All of a sudden incredibly nervous. What was this about Genzou? And only a few minutes later we arrive in front of a giant set of crimson double doors big enough to fit an entire truck inside them. Attendants manning either side bow in reverence with twin "Good evening, your majesties," before pushing open the doors with a heavy creak. We step inside, and my jaw drops. What a giant teddy bear that is to the left, with no eyes. It's not what I expect. Well, some of it is. There's an absolutely enormous canopy bed topped with a deep red duvet and about 50 pillows. A giant armory decorated with golden vines and leaves stands next to a full-length mirror. And above us hang more chandeliers, smaller but no less ornate than the ones in the ballroom. What I don't expect, however, are the toys. They're everywhere. Stuffed animals of all shapes and sizes, including the biggest teddy bear I've ever seen in my life lying in the corner. It's about as big as I am. Action figures, puppets, dolls, bats and balls, model planes, even a miniature train chugging on a track that circles the entire room. It's a massive scale-electrics. I stand there a moment in the doorway, just taking it all in, before Orlam gives me another tug, guiding me into the room proper. This way, this way. He leads me through the vertical toy store towards a set of glass doors on the other side of the room. I don't miss the brown stuffed rabbit propped up on the pillows of the bed like some kind of throne as we pass by. He pushes open the door and pulls me out onto a large balcony, where he's going to push me off of it. And I step forward, gaze going skyward. Whoa, that is a gorgeous night sky. I love the violet purpleness of it all as well, if I can even speak properly. It's like the whole world has opened up above me. A galaxy of stars just for me. And all the stars are staring back at you and they're saying to you, kill them all. And as I step even further, I see the world down below. A picture-perfect nightscape of the countryside. Tiny dots of light colour the nearby town. Purple and blue trees trace the curves of the hills, and moonlight daples the surface of the lake. I've never seen purple trees or blue trees before. I think mainly it's the lighting that could reflect off the leaves that makes them look like that, or the night sky itself. It's like a goddamn painting or something. Well, this is our Wonderland after all. And if one such king wants to make the whole entire sky violet black or violet purple or violet white, then so goddamn it will be that, okay? Also, I just love this night sky. Purple's my favorite color. I thought you might like it. I love it, King Orlam. I walk over to the railing, enjoying the coolness of the marble beneath my fingers. I close my eyes, take a deep breath, feel the chill swirling around in my lungs. Then let my gaze go back to the stars and their ever-expanding universe. Just think about it. Where we are right now in the solar system. And then think about where the solar system is in the Milky Way. And think about where the Milky Way is within, I don't know, what comes after that? A cluster of galaxies? And then from that, a supercluster of galaxies? Just think about it. How how insanely small we all are in comparison to the rest of the universe. I could get lost in it, the many gigaparsecs that the universe is. Even someone like me needs a little alone time now and then. Fortunately, I have the best spot in the kingdom to get my fix, and I have the best someone to share that experience with. Orlam steps over next to me, leaning his elbow onto the railing. Like, Orlam is really giving Iggy a big treatment here. This could be yours, you know. There it is again, that offer. I blink, look down at him. He's got his gaze turned up at me, the same sly grin from earlier curled across his lips. But then he turns away and off towards the scenery. I tug at my collar. This is all a bit much for me. It's not like you need to do much. As you can see, I've got things well under my control. He gestures towards the world beyond the balcony. But I admit I want more than this. I want to expand, grow, to turn this into a thriving kingdom worthy of the history books. There's so much of this world left to discover, and I want to discover it all. To take it all. He snatches at the air, curling his hand into a fist. What are you, some kind of conqueror? And well, even someone like me could use a little support in such a grand endeavor. At this, he turns towards me. A little companionship, shall we say. I feel my face grow warm. My mind goes to the bathers, the army of gorgeous partygoers, all of them seemingly enamored by Orlam. Don't you already have plenty of possible companions? Orlam takes my shoulders in his hands. Ah, but none of them are what I need. Someone who cares about me. Someone who's been with me through thick and thin. Someone I can truly depend on. And that's me? I must look completely flabbergasted because Orlam laughs, smoothing down the front of my suit. Don't think so poorly of yourself. Of course it's you. I let my gaze turn skyward again, studying the stars as my brain ruminates of this piece of information. And, of course, it's not like there wouldn't be anything in it for you. All the alone time you could ever want. 5-star meals every night. A lifetime of pampering. Not to mention, he raises an eyebrow in a sly smirk, my ample collection of games, ripe for your pleasure. My heart skips a beat. That does sound nice. Just think about it. Our own little world, where we don't have to bother ourselves with the expectations of others, the scorn of others. A place for us, where we get to make the rules. At this, I feel his hand find mine, his bony fingers curling around my knuckles. I look over with a start, but he's not looking at me, his gaze instead turned up towards the stars. I mimic him, letting myself get lost once again in the swirling abyss as I breathe in the Milky Way. What is the true color of the night sky? I think it could be interpreted by how people perceive it. We don't stay out much longer. Orlam must notice how tired I am because he soon steers me back inside the warmth of his room. Tut-tutting the whole way as he smooths down my hair and brushes a few lonely specks of dust off my shoulders. He juggles, coughs into his hand, redons that sardonic smirk from down in the ballroom. This is the point in the evening where I'd normally invite you into my bed, but he darts his fingers up my chest to grab my tie, pulling me in close. As much as I'd love to get you out of that dashing suit, before just as quickly letting me go with a snap. I know that's not what you want, so never fear. I've arranged my finest room for you. It's just down the hall in case you happen to need anything during the night. He taps the tips of his fingers together with a proud smile. Oh, thanks. The heat returns to my cheeks. It's like he knows exactly what to say to get the blood rushing to my face. This was nice. It was nice. Yeah. Everything coming. I look down, to the right, to the left. I can practically feel the awkward heat that must be warping the air above me. Orlam raises a brow, just standing there a moment staring at me. Then grins the goofiest grin he's donned all night, reaching up to grab my chin and giving my head a little shake. You adorably socially inept button. I could eat you all up. Now my face must truly look like a tomato. Of course, anything for you, my dearest friend. He pulls away with a snap, leaving my brain feeling exceptionally rattled in my skull. And I do mean anything, no matter the urge that may spring forth within your loins. Do let one of my attendants know, They shall accommodate you post-haste. One hand to my back, he guides me to the door, where a rabbit attendant is already waiting to take me to my room. Do get some sleep, yes? And think about my offer. Then the door closes behind me, leaving me alone with the attendant in the ornate hallway. The nerve of the king. This way, sir. The attendant bows, then starts forward. We pass another attendant on the way, this one leading what looks like a man and a woman from the ball towards Orlam's room. Both of them are trying to suppress twin grins of excited mirth. I don't have the time to let my thoughts linger on them, though, because the attendant has already opened up a door on the left and is currently holding it open for me. I dash forward so as to not keep him waiting and find myself in a wonderfully elegant room. Oh, I love the purpleness of this room. For goodness sakes, this all looks so dashing. Well, not as big as Orlam's is for sure. It's still equally ornate and far grander than anything I've ever stayed in before. And this one has a blue theme to juxtapose Orlam's red. My eyes tell me purple, but I might be deceiving myself. The duvet, the pillows, the rugs and curtains, everything's a different shade of blue. It's wonderfully calming. We've prepared night clothes for you on the bed, sir. And if you need anything during the night, simply ring the bell. The attendant gestures towards a small brass bell hanging on the wall by the door. Oh, thank you, I say clumsily before the attendant bows and walks back out, leaving me alone. Ah, the sweet serenity of isolation. When was the last time I felt it? Oh yes, it was before Gidget just came barging into my hotel room. I take a short jaunt around the room to get my fill of the place. Ended up at the bed where I find a set of blue slick pajamas awaiting me. How luxurious. This was also thought in advance, I believe, because the pajamas also fits me like a glove. I slip them on quickly, loving how irresistible they feel my skin, then climb up and onto the duvet. It must be down because it sinks delightfully beneath my touch, so soft I could get myself lost in it. You haven't had that sickening gut feeling yet, have you? At the top of the bed I find a single pink rabbit resting against the pillows. I stare at it for a moment, blinking. Wait a minute, a single pink rabbit? Was it that the one that was in that cutscene when, Iggy and Orlam were on the bed when they were children just looking at that rabbit? Then grab it and hold it in against my chest as I lie back with my gaze towards the ceiling. I try to think back to the real world, to my apartment in Brookside, to the work I still have left to finish, even to my parents. But all of it seems so far away, and all of it seems so far in another reality, and ridiculously unimportant. Damn. My parents unimportant? That's impossible. I run my thumb across the soft velveteen head of the rabbit in my arms, eyes drooping. I thought it was supposed to be the ears that were drooping. Anyways, my thoughts drift to Orlam, to the expanse of the stars overhead, to the feeling of his hand in mine, gangly and rough. Something pings in the back of my mind. I close my eyes. When I open them again, I'm outside, standing on the sidewalk, watching as my classmates trickle out of the building. After prom. Well, after prom. What time had it been? Had to been about around 6 in the morning. I lost the others somehow. Even Gidget, despite her practically refusing to leave my side the latter half of the night. I don't spy any of them amongst the surrounding exodus, so I figure they must either still be inside somewhere or left earlier. I run a hand through my hair. I'm tired, exhausted. Time to go back home and sleep until noon. I start down the path away from the school and towards the bus stop. It clears out quickly, to the point that I soon find myself alone. Most of my classmates have cars, or at least know someone who does. I don't even have my learner's permit. Shoving my hands into my pockets, I count the cracks in the sidewalk as I shuffle along. It's still dim, no longer pitch black, but dark enough that you can still make out the stars in the sky. And the chilly morning air is making the hair on my arms stand straight up. This time not of anger, but the feel of the cool. I glance up upon rounding the corner, then stop. Is that Orlam? Oh, I really should stop trying to predict the future. Orlam's standing beneath the light at the bus stop because I could say something, and then it would have irreversible consequences. He looks so small just standing there, staring at the ground. The overhead light is casting harsh shadows across his shoulders and arms, emphasizing the protruding bumps of his bones. Hey! I call out as I start towards him. Then feel my feet slowly as he turns around. His face is... oh, dark. You okay there, Orlam? Eyes turning towards me vacantly. Face an ashy grey, just staring. I feel goosebumps pop up all along my neck and arms. He looks like some kind of ghost. Perhaps he's already died. I don't know. Hey, I try again, slowly falling into place beside him at the stop. Everything okay? Was wondering where you went. Suddenly felt like I was all alone in there. I smile. He doesn't return it. Nor does he say anything, just staring at me with that same look of almost confused emptiness. This might have been when the event happened. Now that I'm closer, I can get a better look at him. His eyes are pink and puffy. He must have been crying. His hair is a scraggly mess. And his clothes. His clothes look like they've gone through a wrestling match. I've noticed the buttons of his shirt no longer match up. Yeah, you see the collars at different altitudes. Did something? I start looking back and forth from his face to his bed-dragged appearance. Did something happen? At this, his face seems to curl in on itself. Something has happened. His brows furrow in on his eyes as his lips pull back into distraught cringe. And his gaze falls as what appears to be a renewed burst of tears begins running down his cheeks. She. I reach forward out in instinct, then simply stand there awkwardly, one arm around his shoulder as he cries in silence. Hey, it's okay, I finally say, giving him what I hope is a reassuring squeeze. I can feel him shake, hiccups racking his frame. He sniffs. Everyone always abandons me. My face twitches in concern, but I don't say anything, waiting to see if he will continue. He gives another sniff, a plague me cough. First Brownie, then my mom, and now even... He clenches his eyes shut, and I see him bite down on his tongue. He brings a hand up to wipe at his face, but all it does is spread the tears and snot across his cheeks. Finally he turns towards me, jaw taut. Is there something wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. I wince, taking a step back to give him some room as he wipes his snotty arm on his shirt. Or at least it's not on my shirt. Nobody cares about me. I'm all alone. His gaze drops back to the ground. I don't know what to say. I'm not sure there's anything to say. Listen, Orlam. I, as Iggy, care about you. No matter how alone you feel, no matter how dark you feel at this point in time, no matter your emotions, there is always someone out there, that is thinking about you, caring about you, wondering if you're okay. So instead, I reach for his hand, taking his bony fingers in mine. Damn, man. They clench around my knuckles tightly, desperately almost. And I return the squeeze, not even minding the sweat and the snot and the tears greasing his palm. I can still feel him shaking, seeing his knobby little knees bumping against each other. You're not alone, is what I want to say. I've only just realized this now, but Iggy's eye pupils are red. Is he a demon in disguise? But it gets caught up in my throat, because maybe it's not true. I don't know. I don't know what to do. But if all I can do is be here for him now, in this moment, then, well, I guess I can do that. I turn my head skyward towards the slowly brightening sky, watch as the stars begin to fade out above us, and stand there, holding his hand until the bus comes to take us home. I think sometimes words are not needed, just your presence, and sometimes your physical feel in that comforting way, is more than enough to gravitate your emotions and feelings towards, well, what it is that you're looking out for. I awake the next morning to the sun filtering in through the curtains and painting patterns across the sheets. I feel so comfortable, like I never want to leave. I smile and roll over, still hugging the pink rabbit in against my chest as I bury my face back into the pillow. Just 5 more minutes. 5-minute turns into 10, then into 15. Finally, however, I push myself up on the mattress with a frazzled whoomph, running a hand through my hair and rubbing my eyes. My stomach grumbles through the blue silk of my pajamas, and I realize I never really had a proper dinner last night. Just the snacks after the bath and those meat fiends at the ball, and all that champagne. But then again, that's not a meal. And the alcohol, lots of alcohol. I grimace, then slide off the bed and pad towards the bathroom. I feel like I'm going to end this episode off here. Now, my biggest mystery so far is where on earth has Genzou gone to? Perhaps he's already tied up somewheres in this huge castle and we just don't know about it. But then again, what would Iggy be thinking at this point in time, even if Genzou is locked up somewheres? Would he actually care about Genzou at this point? Because ever since we landed in this Wonderland, Iggy has not really liked Genzou in any given point in time. Like, Genzou has helped him out thick and thin, well, except for tongue part, actually, because Iggy kind of forced the tongue to just lay off. But Genzou has given a lot to Iggy in this arc, whereas Iggy has given so little in ways of positivity for Genzou. And that fight on the boat really resonates that Genzou still cares about Iggy, but I don't think it is reflected the other way with Iggy towards Genzou in this act. I personally feel that Iggy doesn't want to have anything to do with Genzou at this point in time. He thinks that Genzou has expectations of Iggy, whereas we learned in Act 2 that is not the case. That Genzou just wants to be there for his friend in any given time of harshness. But in this case, Iggy's emotions have really ramped up to 11, but in another way, rather than feeling nervous or being anxious or being reserved, he's been really angry. And this is something that has taken Genzou off of his usual hilarious chanter moments. I don't know if that didn't even make any sense, but he's usually pulling jokes, usually pulling one-liners and stuff like that. But in this case, I've barely ever seen him smile throughout this entire act. And even if he has smiled, none of them has been genuine. It's just more or less trying to calm the storm down. So this is an act I feel that is really, really contrary to what we've seen so far within the other two acts when it comes to the relationship between Iggy and Iggy and Genzou. Where in those two acts, Iggy and Genzou, yes, they've bickered and all that stuff, but it's never really had any venom behind it. Whereas in this act, those two literally have had venom through and through. And I don't know what's happened to Genzou at this point. Will we see him again in this act? Has he been killed already? Who knows? Who knows when the time comes when we get to that point. So thank you all so much for watching, and we shall see each other in the next time of Our Land. I predict that the next episode will be the final one of Act 3, and then we'll be moving shortly onwards onto Act 4, where I am certain it's going to be an act that focuses on Gidget, and then the finale will be one that focuses on Hunar's other half, which I've forgotten her name, unfortunately. But there we go. Thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourselves, everyone.